Yeah.
Hello everybody, this is our second video production of Exactly the Impact. So every time we try to feature somebody who's living their dreams, very happy about what they do, and also at the same time making an impact in the world, basically through the effort. Today we have Eric, who's the founder and CEO of Empty Cubicle. Hi Eric, say hi to everybody.
Hi everybody.
Before I get started, I want to mention, every time I want to mention Upside Foundation. It's a 1% movement, means if you are an entrepreneur, there's no cost to join Upside Foundation, and if you exit the business successfully, you can donate, basically you donate 1% of your sale to the charity, and that's at no cost to you. Okay, so, what do you do, Eric?
That's a very good question. Well, Empty Cubicle, I'm the founder and CEO of Empty Cubicle. Empty Cubicle is the world's first job search and recruitment platform based on verified data.
What does that mean?
It means that we are getting past the resume level into the profile level and actually verifying the information that is inside someone's resume against our proprietary database to provide a verification credibility score to our employers.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Let me break that down a little bit.
Go for it.
So if I'm looking for a job, I put my resume to, I don't know, like Monster or Worklopless, or apply on any website, like any recruiter's website, and then what happens? Where do you come in?
Well, we don't come in. So as it stands right now, there are more than 17 different sites you can go onto to get a job.
Okay.
Many of which are household names, some of which you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Empty Cubicle will be another one to add to that list, except that Empty Cubicle will actually verify the content. So what the current applications do, websites do, is they provide a marketplace where people can go to find a job, employers can go to find an individual, and hopefully they can date and be happy. That's not what we do. We verify the content in the resume in order to provide a verification and credibility score to the employer. So instead of an employer receiving 500 resumes that come in over a period of time because they are hiring for this role, we can actually give them, think of it as a top 10. So going from 500 to potentially 10 means a lot of time savings, a lot of cost savings, and a much better and quicker turnaround time for the credible, verified candidates to hear that they're actually being considered for a role.
So basically, I am looking for a job. I would come across your website, I would submit my resume on there, and in the background you have an algorithm to cross-check all the references automatically and then verify my credibility, and employers would be on your website and would filter, I guess, the top scored people to interview. Is that how?
Close.
Okay.
Close. Not bad. I can't tell you exactly how it works because that wouldn't be a good thing. But yes, generally speaking, it's a fair assessment.
So basically, it's your in-house knowledge.
Yes.
Who developed that?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, I'm trying very hard here. Okay, let me ask you.
I will not divulge corporate secrets. We don't do that. We don't believe in that. Just take my word for it.
Okay, let me ask you a different way. Did you have the vision for this?
Yes.
How? How did you?
My background is, well, I won't say how many, but more than a few years in consulting.
Okay.
Software consulting and general consulting, management consulting, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And having worked with some of the largest organizations in the world, the one common denominator, the one thing that affected each of these businesses the most, the best, maybe not the best, but most often was hiring. Hiring traditionally is a very painful process for organizations. Mm-hmm. They can't find the right person they want to bring in, or they bring somebody in and then they realize that they aren't the right person for that role. It gets very painful very quickly and very costly. So in identifying this as an issue, I started to think about ways to solve that problem, solve that issue, and out came Empty Cubicle.
Okay, so as far as I know, there's quite a few products out on the market that's sort of in the same space, like, I don't know, like SuccessFactors or other HR, like Workday, other HR-related packaged software. Where's the competitive, like, where do you fit into that whole competitive landscape?
Right in the middle.
So
well, it's a bit of a complex answer, because when you think about the HR landscape, it's very similar to looking at the motor vehicle landscape. So if you were to think that somebody came out with a new car, how would they play into the car landscape, the vehicle landscape, without any background, without any experience in it. And you would say, well, as long as they had a significant differentiator, they might be okay. So what was the last car company that just suddenly was created out of the blue and entered into that market? It was Tesla.
Right, that's the only thing I can think of.
Exactly, that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, what's Tesla's major differentiator? The differentiator is the fact that it's an electric car. Right? Couldn't be more different as far as how it's powered than your regular Chevrolet or your regular Buick.
Right. So it's really driven back in knowledge.
That's right. Suddenly, you're looking at this very differently, where an entirely different car comes to market, and you say, you know what? It still gets me from point A to point B. It's powered differently. The price point's a bit different, but it works. And suddenly, there's, in downtown Toronto where we are, there are a lot of Teslas on the road. So you look at the HR landscape and you say, a lot of organizations are doing things in a very similar fashion, right? They have that marketplace. A lot of organizations have their own or someone else's applicant tracking system that's built into their website.
Right.
So if you go to one of the big banks, for example, it looks like you're using their technology, but it's this technology they bought from somebody else. And it's all being done the same way. So the resume is being sent from point A to point B regardless of who's actually behind it and managing the information. Empty Cubicle has a huge differentiator in that it's verified. Nobody is verifying content today. Resumes are just floating between parties, and
how do you verify?
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. I find it quite intriguing because nowadays everybody has ideas and everybody's going on and build something. When you say you guys are the only company on planet that's actually verifying information, that's very intriguing. Nobody else is doing it?
Nobody else is doing it.
There must be a barrier to why they're not doing it. Is it because of technology or is it because just nobody else has thought about it?
Well, let's look at it this way. The best answer I can give you is that all of the other players in the HR space are all doing what they're doing because of how they were created, because of what their companies look like. And they've created an environment and a marketplace for themselves, which is predicated on the fact that people aren't going to find jobs, right? The majority of people who apply are people who are not going to get you that first interview. If you have 500 people who apply for a particular role, you might have 20 that, and this is general, this is not scientific, you may have 20 who get phone calls, 30 who get phone calls from HR to say, hi, we'd like you to come in for an interview, or we'd like to screen you, or whatever that case might be. So when you look at how these organizations are making money, all of our competitors, they're making money because people can't find the jobs. Therefore, the organizations put their opportunities online, they put their job posts online, and most of them have them online for 30 days, and after 30 or 31 days, depending on the duration, they ask for your credit card number because they're ready to bill you again because you didn't find somebody in that first month. That's how they're making their money. To entirely and completely stop that process and say, no, we're not going to do this the traditional way. We're now going to change our financial model, change our data model, change the way we do business. It's not going to happen. Companies don't do that.
So what is your model?
Our model is entirely different. Our model is based off of the fact that organizations need to hire people at a better procedural, or with a better procedural return on their investment, which means it has to be faster. The model itself it's all SaaS. So you go online, you purchase a subscription based off of how many people you intend to hire over a specific period of time. So let's call it 6 months. If you're hiring 5 or 20 or 50 people over 6 months, you subscribe accordingly, and the next thing you pay up front and you use it as you need to use it over time.
So you charge. So your client is not people filling their jobs. Your client, your revenue stream is actually from the corporation.
Absolutely.
Ah.
Well, that's who's paying for it. When was the last time you paid to get a job? Never.
Never.
Of course not. Doesn't work that way. You wouldn't pay. If one of the sites asked you to subscribe and said, even $5 a month on a subscription basis to subscribe, and therefore you can get yourself a job, you wouldn't do it.
No.
It's like a resume writing service. Everyone thinks the resume is great, unless you know your resume isn't great. Most people think that the resume is great, and they don't pay resume services to write or to change. The ones who continually strike out and can't find a job may go and spend $50 to have somebody review it professionally, but there's a big differentiator between people who have a perfect, well-written, well-articulated resume and those who don't.
Right. So how did you know, before you started, how did you know that there's truly a need out there and there's a big enough market out there? What validated your theory?
My experience in working with a lot of Fortune 500s and identifying the procedural inefficiency that is human resources was all based off of questions and answers. So I envisioned the concept a while ago, and then I asked the questions, hey, could this work for you? What if we did this? What if it looked like this? What if this happened or that happened? What if there was a system that did the following? And then I described at the time what I thought a Cubicle would look like. And then we figured out a very simple price point, which is just taking what is currently in market and cutting it in half, which we can do because we're SaaS. And there's no manual intervention, so we're a machine, essentially. And once the machine is in place, it costs X to run, therefore we can charge Y and still be profitable and still get people jobs.
Okay, 2 key points I want to dig there. One,
I like to dig.
yeah,
Noticing
that's the
it.
fun part.
Noticing the
That
digging.
is the fun part.
Noticing that.
One, so I guess you did a bunch of survey or talked to people, you just get a feel. How many of them actually said or actually told themselves out there and say, I will be on your waiting list, I will really pay you if you get this up running? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they started asking, throwing ideas to their family and friends, be like, yeah, that's great, I'll definitely buy it, I'll definitely try it, but when the real, the time for money comes, that doesn't materialize. You really
right.
didn't get a realistic sense of the market out there.
Correct.
So that's the first question. The second is I want to get more into the whole SaaS and no human intervention, whatever. But yeah, so the first one. Did you get any tangible people handing you money, say, yes, please develop this, and I'm waiting for the product?
Well, that's a different question. The money question is a different question. So the answer to your first question, not your second question,
Okay.
is yes, absolutely. We had all sorts of people saying, yes, we could use that. That's really valuable. It's really good. When you're developing something like this, where people are passionate about the product and their use of the product because they can see it, we've been able to articulate the vision and explain the benefit and the value and the features that their organization will enjoy or will receive, then people come forward and they say, yes, this is great, we're interested. So what we're doing, essentially what I'm saying is, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're not bringing a net new product to market where people have to do something entirely differently than what they've done before. We're now going to invent a different steering wheel, and it's going to be square, and this is the benefit of the square steering wheel, where people can say, no, I like my steering wheel round, and that's it. Right? The square doesn't work for me. We're not saying we're going to do things entirely differently. The benefit, the beauty of Empty Cubicle is that it operates in the exact same way as your current human resource world works, whatever that world looks like for you. It integrates within it. You don't have to change any processes, you don't have to modify anything, you don't have to do anything differently. It just sits on top of whatever you're currently doing, and therefore the barrier to entry for us is much lower, because we're not trying to sell a different way of doing something that is very, very specific to your organization.
You're just injecting a solution to an existing problem along the process.
Correct. But we're not just injecting a solution, we're injecting a solution that's going to save 80-90% of the time that it currently takes you. So people have already made investments. Organizations have already invested their time, their money, and they have people, physical human beings, who come in every day and do what we're describing that we're going to automate, which doesn't take them out of the role.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
It just repurposes the role.
Okay.
Because you still have to interview the people that you're going to bring in. So you go from 500 to, let's say, 20, you still have to go through the process with those 20. That doesn't change.
I see. So you're, after getting the feedback, you're comfortable that you can spend millions of dollars developing this, and in the end, you will have paying customers.
Correct.
That's bold. Okay. That's what we like.
That's how we do it.
That's right.
Sure.
Okay. SaaS and no human intervention. Are you a developer?
No. I've never been called a developer in my life, so I don't want to be called a developer now. No.
So
Developers are phenomenal people, and they do incredible work. but I am not a developer.
So how do you realize that vision?
Well, vision, that's a difficult question to answer. Vision is a very easy thing. I see something, and I don't mean me, but I mean people see things all the time, and they think, well, this should work differently. Right? Whether it's the timing of the traffic lights, or something very simple, like garbage disposal. If we had automated ways of doing simple things, then life would be a little bit different than what we're currently used to. Right? If you look at the traffic flow into the downtown core or out of the downtown core at 9 o'clock or 5 o'clock, that's tuned based off of metrics and analytics and things to say that we need this light to be green for longer to get more traffic through the light and move traffic forward quicker. Or conversely, somebody set up, if the light was red for an extra 10 seconds, we would back people up, right? So that's a process you can look at and say, if the lights were green all the time, going north-south in each direction, then people will get downtown faster. Yes, that's correct. But if the lights were red, the people going east-west wouldn't be able to get through, so that doesn't work. You have to find a happy medium. Yes?
Let me spin a little bit.
Okay.
So say if...
Cut that part. Cut that part.
Take mental notes.
Mental note.
So, for example, I'm a developer. Say I'm not, right? But I'm totally not a developer. Never coding in my life. Now, you are. So, what would you tell me to build? You can't just tell me, hey, I want to verify information on resume.
No.
Or is it really what you tell people?
Of course not. No. Well, that gets into a lot of different things as far as how we've actually built it, which I can't tell you at this point. But essentially, it's a different way of looking at the data. So if you look at a resume physically right now, and you look at it, pick it up, and you recognize all of the dates and times and projects that have been worked on. You recognize the company names. You know inherently in your mind that all these things took place, and that resume becomes verified. Yes?
But how do you verify that?
No, what I'm saying, fundamentally,
Right.
if you had a colleague that worked for you or with you for 10 years, the same companies, same time, same projects, then you had the knowledge of looking at the resume and saying, this is 100% verified because I know this person.
Correct.
And there are websites out there, who are known to do this, right? You can figure out which website that is that does this currently. And then you connect with people and suddenly you get a sense of false verification because you're connected with them. But you looked at that resume, you knew that took place at that period of time.
Right.
Then you would say, yeah, this resume is verified, and you would pass it on to get interviewed.
Right.
But what if there was a system that knew all that information already? That's what we're building. That is Empty Cubicle. It's knowing that level of content. How? Well, see, I can't answer that.
Let me try.
Let's just say we have our ways of acquiring that information.
Now, you said, okay, automatic ways, but to build that knowledge up, don't you have to feed all the information to it? Don't you have to humanly put all those information together? And
Sure. I'm going to shift gears again on you. Let's say you have, do you drive?
Sorry?
Do you drive?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a car?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you have a 1995 Ford Mustang.
Okay.
She does. She won't tell us here, but we know she does. So if you have a 1995 Ford Mustang, that's now a 21-year-old car.
Right.
So that has a very specific maintenance schedule. It has a very specific life cycle for all of its parts. Yes?
Yeah.
Work with me. Don't let that confuse.
Sure.
Yes, sure. So if you take that into a mechanic, how does that mechanic know what parts are needed or how to service that vehicle?
Based on experience, knowledge, or a production manual, or
Aha, production manual.
manufacturing?
Sure. There's a system out there. There's a company out there
Correct.
that owns all this information, has manifested all this information over
Correct.
time.
Yeah.
So you have the security in your brain when you take the car in that they're going to fix it, and you're going to drive out, and the car's going to drive. Not the wheels aren't going to fall off, and the doors aren't going to fall
That's
off.
because we are standards.
That's right. Exactly. So there are ways of in that data set, there are things that make sense. There's data that's been acquired. You know that every year the car has a new model year with different parts, but you have standards that have been set. In business, especially in technology, those standards exist as well. So if you were to look at Microsoft, there are certain technology standards that have been followed time and time and time again, which means I, as a Microsoft expert, can look at a resume and say, some of this makes sense, some of this does not make sense. That's what the system starts to know.
Okay, that's more like standard certification or like progression. But what about, say, if I claim I did project X at company Y from this time to this time, how can you possibly verify?
Can't answer that.
Or let me put it another way: are you able to verify it?
Yes.
How? You're not going to answer that, okay?
I'm not going to answer that. She keeps asking me different ways. I'm not answering that. I can't.
Because that is so intriguing.
At this point in our development, I can't answer that.
Okay.
It is intriguing. Absolutely, it's intriguing. That's what makes what we're doing so exciting. If it wasn't intriguing, if I wasn't up at night trying to think about this and dream up what we can do next, I wouldn't be doing it. If it was easy, I wouldn't be doing it. That's part of being an entrepreneur.
Correct. So as an entrepreneur and the CEO and the founder of the company, do you actually get to that level of details? Like, what data set we should look at? How do we plan the logic? For this logic, we have to contact company X, we have to contact company Y, we have to get this information from them.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay.
My job is to run the company, to direct the vision, to make sure that what is floating around in my brain, what I think it should look like, not look like,
Right.
but what I believe it should look like, or the things we should take into account, yes, absolutely I get involved in that. From there, I hand it over to our architects, our developers, all of our technical staff that actually build out the vision and figure out my dreams and develop based on that.
Right. And how many external touch points do you have to have in this whole process? Do you literally just have developers code, or do you actually, like, does your company actually have to go out to different companies and collect information?
We don't go out directly to companies to collect information. There are ways that we get the information legally. There are lots of different ways that we get the information that's coming into us. Yeah, as far as touch points, it's me to the developers. I mean, we have project teams and whatnot. It's run like anything else is run. But my job is to make sure that the end state vision, what I think is going to be in there, is in there eventually.
Okay, so really you're taking the human effort out of it and really just automate everything in this space.
Yes and no. There's still opportunity. What we're doing is, if it takes 3 minutes to review a resume, and you get 10 resumes that come in, you review them all, that's a half an hour. That's a pain. Because you may only take one and call that person or email that person and bring them in for an interview. That process will still exist. You will still make a phone call, you will still send an email, you will still have the person human element, because there's always a cultural aspect that we don't want to touch, and we don't want to touch that. So yes, there are parts of this that will be automated, but we're not simply going to replace and call human resources across the board. They'll have more time to do all the other things they do that they don't have time to do, like 360 reviews and procedural things and the types of automation. I mean, that back in 50 years ago, there was no such thing as an applicant tracking system. So when information came in, it was just sort of stacked up in a pile, and the information was never correlated, it was never reviewed in any type of collective, collaborative way. Now we have these applicant tracking systems, which has made lives a lot easier. But nobody thinks, well, wait a second. Way back when we put in a system and the applicant tracking systems changed the world, people think, where would I be without my applicant tracking system? And that's what Empty Cubicle is going to be. And we're following the SaaS model. We're following the model where there's a very low barrier for us to enter the market, where people can, from any part of the organization, can come in and use Empty Cubicle and just use it on top of whatever they're currently doing in order to make for a better intake process for them.
So how many clients do you have?
We're not live yet, so I can't tell you about it.
Oh, okay. Are there either willingness, like are there corporations that said, once you're live, here's my money?
Yes, absolutely.
How many?
More than one.
More than 100?
You only need one customer.
That's true.
To have a company. I know lots of companies that operate entirely because they have one customer.
And they grow from there.
Or sometimes they don't. Some companies just go with the one customer. It just depends.
But that's not.
No, we're going to have more than one customer.
Okay. How much money do you spend on, how much cash do you burn on development? I guess that's the biggest expense item?
Yeah, of course, it's our biggest expense. I won't tell you specifics, I'll tell you generally that we raised a good friends and family round, which has pushed us to the right point in our development, and it's gotten us far past a prototype and into a beta. And that as a learning objective, you want to make sure if you're going to go out and raise a friends and family round that at the end of the day you can show them something product-wise that will make their money more money.
Good. Did you put your own money in there?
Of course.
Okay. So I guess as we talked about so many times, if you have something, friends and family, and your own equity, it's about equity first, I guess. It's about equity and your actual equity.
Well, the first thing that investors like to ask you is what you put in.
Right.
That's the first question. Did you put in? Yes. Good, we can still talk. If you say no, there are times, it's not every time, there are reasons why people say no or haven't done it. You never know. But typically the question gets asked very early on. And you realize what the importance is, because if you come to me and you want an investment from me,
absolutely,
and you're asking me for $500,000 and you put in no money on your side, then you have no risk.
Yeah.
You have no skin in the game.
Yeah,
Where's the passion? Where's the fire? You've got to have that.
So you passed the family friends round. What's the next round for you?
We'll do a seed round likely in the summer.
In the summer. What's the valuation of the company for now? range-wise.
Much like our customers, it's more than one, and it's less than $1 billion right now.
That's a large range. Can you shrink it down just a little bit?
Well, it's hard to put a finger on it, because you're evaluating something that is very intangible right now in a market that is $73 billion. So when
$73 billion
annually. So when you're touching that size of market and you can make that much impact, and you're building a product that is brand new, that can touch every country, every industry across the board, we could suddenly be a major player very quickly. That's why I can't answer the question.
You are changing the world in that way.
We are, absolutely.
Okay, so there are real people out there who are changing the world, doing what they love.
We haven't changed it yet. We will change it. That's what we're trying to do, but we haven't changed it yet.
Right, so maybe after a few years we'll interview him again. What's the next step that you see? Like in where this company's going? What's your next few big milestones, I guess?
Well, the biggest thing is our live date. Our live date right now is scheduled for September.
Okay.
So the way we see it, there are 2 times that you can go live with a major product, especially one which is going to get people new jobs or different jobs. And it's all based on the calendar year. So January, everyone makes resolutions. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to get a new job. Those are the top 2 every time. Yeah. And 80% of people make that claim that they're going to get a new job, but a very smaller number than that actually execute on it.
That's right.
And a smaller number than that actually lose 10 pounds. So just food for thought, no pun intended. So January and September, because with the new school year, people have the same thought. Yeah. There are times when nobody wants to move jobs, December, March, summer, December break, March break, summer break, nobody wants to move jobs, or a few people want to move jobs around there. So we're targeting September for our go live. And then into 2017, we have 3 different initiatives that we'll be undertaking to both target different things, different countries, different industries, and some different platform changes.
That's fast growth.
Hopefully.
That's like very soon coming.
Hopefully.
So you're going to launch it, and it sounds like you would have no problem getting corporate clients and getting revenue stream come in. What's the cash flow situation like?
Next question.
I think it's going to decline again.
She keeps asking me the same question in different ways to see if I'll actually take it.
He's pretty smart.
I don't bite. You'll notice I don't bite. Yes, questions related to investments, dollars, cash flow, and valuation. I'm not answering.
Okay, cash flow. Is it going to cover? Okay. No, hold on. Is it going to cover the operation and profitable? Sounds like you have no problem getting corporate clients.
I think I've heard this before, yes.
Right, but let me spin the other way. What about the people who submit their resumes? If you don't get enough applicants in, you're not going to be in business.
Potentially. Unless we create partnerships to ensure that our
That's right.
resumes are flush and flourishing.
That's right. So like schools, agencies.
There are lots of different options we can partner with to make sure we have lots of resumes. But at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of this is predicated on the fact that somebody who is looking for a job will, they're very disloyal people.
Yeah. No.
So if you look at the 17 different systems that exist today, we become the 18th, which is a great number for me. Then why would they go to the first 17 and not the 18th? They would continue.
Right.
And you can go on to emptycubicle.com right now, emptycubicle.com right now, and submit your resume. Put your resume online, which we use for our purposes for now. And once we go live, your profile gets created.
We will annotate that.
Yes.
It's mental notes. So you seem very comfortable in this role. How old are you?
How old am I? Wow. You'd have a lot more luck getting the valuation question answered than how old am I. Let's just say I earned every gray hair in my head. But I'm not 40.
Oh yeah, okay. That's so really young. So what?
I'm really young.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Like below 40. That's
you can
really
interview me
young.
anytime. No problem.
Annotate that too. So, and you seem so comfortable in taking the risks and raising all the capital and actually do it full time and take the company where it is now. Is this your first entrepreneurial role? Because I don't believe that would be your first entrepreneurial role. You can't tell me you're a 9 to 5 and all of a sudden the light bulb went on one day and you decided to do this.
No, this is not my first one.
It makes sense, okay.
This is actually my third entrepreneurial venture. Yes, lots of different things over the years, but at the end of the day, I spent 15 years consulting in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Okay.
And as a consultant, many times, depending on the team size and what you're actually doing, you really are running your own business. You know, you're developing the ideas for the customers. You are, in my case, you're customizing a solution for the customers based on what you feel their needs to be. And that's really what we're doing now. Right? Our customer is the organization who is hiring, who has a specific need around HR. It's a current gap, it's a current pain, and that's what we're developing this against. So my background, my history, whether I'm a 2-time entrepreneur or a 10-time entrepreneur, the principles are the same. There's an obvious gap, there's a solution that can be built, and that's what we're doing.
Were you successful in your previous 2 ventures?
Thankfully, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, now we know where his seed round come from. So be a successful entrepreneur first, and then you can jump to your third venture.
Yes. Not successful to some, not as successful as many.
Okay.
It all depends.
But you're on track too.
It's all variable.
Okay.
Yes, we're on track to change the world.
When was the time you took the leap? The reason why I want to ask this is a very important question because a lot of our audience are actually, they're thinking about changing, but most people, before they take the leap of faith, it's hard for them. It's very hard for them to forego the safety.
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, what made you take that leap of faith and say, I don't need paycheck to paycheck, I just make my own thing?
It's actually difficult to answer.
Were you born that way?
I was born that way.
Oh.
If you were to find one of my school teachers, they would tell you how annoying it was to try to teach me. Because if I was into it and I understood it and I was excited by it,
Right.
I was great. I was in the front of the class.
Right.
I was raising my hand. I was answering questions. If I didn't like the subject, I was at the back of the class throwing spitballs and not answering questions and not doing very well. So it's all about what you're passionate about. And I think when you get behind something and it keeps you up at night because you're excited about the ability to visualize something and execute on it, that's when you know you're right.
Guys, this is a message we try to drill every single time. Follow your passion. Live the dream you want to live. There's people alive that are doing that today. Like, don't worry about making money. Just follow your passion. That's awesome. So basically, you never tried the 9-to-5 corporate. You just went straight ahead.
I guess I was 9 to 5 in corporate for some years. I mean, even in consulting. When you're working with a customer and you're 9 to 5ing it, well, it's really like 9 to 9ing it.
Yeah.
Then you're doing that. But I was never good as an employee, where I was working behind a desk and I was only told that I should live inside this box. Do your job within these constraints.
Guys, I bet that's a lot of you, how you feel that way.
I was never good at that.
And it's okay to not feel good at that, and it's okay to not be good at that, right?
But you have to recognize it. If you don't recognize it, you can't live in a box and recognize it and be mad that you live in a box. Unless there's some strange cloud that only exists over your house, right? If that's the way you think and that's the way you work, and you recognize that you could be doing something else, that you could go and start this company, that there's this particular need in market, then why aren't you doing it? That's what you have to ask yourself.
That's a question. Why aren't you doing it? Okay, just remember that. Why aren't you doing it? Ask yourself that.
Now we're going to pause for you to answer.
Okay. We'll see if we get any feedback.
Yes. Reflective thought, please.
Okay, so that's awesome. Revenue for are those two companies?
I would love some. Thank you.
I guess, okay, dodge that question. He's very good. He's very good. Okay. Without money constraint, without time constraint, in your vision, what's your final vision? Like, where do this go? Like, what's your ideal world? You wake up. What's your ideal world?
That's hard to say. I think, like any entrepreneur, you see it 10 different ways. Right? I see a vision where we are the de facto standard in hiring around the world.
So, like,
that's a good vision.
If people are looking for jobs, they will go to your website and just submit things. And if corporate is thinking about hiring,
they know. Correct. That leads me to the success answer. How will you know when your company is successful? And I have very specific things which I can't share with you as to how I will know when we are successful. Mm-hmm. They're very specific to me and maybe not to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. But you will shoot us an email when that happens.
Of course.
Awesome. Okay.
We'll do this again and we'll talk about that. But I think that there are lots of different answers to the question. Mm-hmm. I will know that we are successful and that I have the outcome that I want when people think empty cubicle first for their next opportunity.
Is that why you're so passionate about this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the only way to be passionate about something is to see it in action, is to see the need,
build it to action,
is to see the anger, the frustration, the pain that organizations have. And you can talk to any employee, any organization who has tried to hire somebody and over a glass of diet soda, and very quickly you will find out what the pain is in their organization. And the pain isn't just from the person who is doing the hiring, or who the hiring manager is, or whomever is doing the hiring. The pain can be from the people on the team. Right? Remember that if you have 8 people in one room for an hour, you just burned a day of time, a day of effort. So you better be good. When you have a team of 10 people and one person leaves for whatever reasons they leave, that means that the other 9 people have to work a little bit harder in order to take the place of or the spot of the individual who is now no longer there. That's a pain for everybody on the team. So even if those 9 people aren't doing the hiring themselves, they're in pain because they can't fill that role quick enough. Now, can they not fill the role quick enough because they don't get the right resumes? They can't get the right resumes. They don't know where to find resumes. Their HR process is broken. Their interviewing isn't accurate. Who knows? It could be a million things. But the pain is obvious, and everybody who I know has either been hired or fired in their life. So because of all of this, it becomes relevant and relatable to everybody.
So basically, you're so passionate about this because you actually see the need out there, and you know what you're doing is going to ease somebody else's suffering on a large scale.
Suffering, well, I don't like suffering because that has a different foundation. Yes, but it's on both sides. So our product, being what it is in Empty Cubicle, the product services both markets. You service the employer, our customer, our paying customer, and you service the people who are looking for jobs. So you have it coming and going. It's not as if we're selling a product to make life easier for the employers and then they can't get people to apply, right? So it really does become a product that can be used by anybody. When I'm sitting in my car driving home and I see people crossing the road in front of me at the light, every single person that walks in front of the car could potentially use our product. On the employer side, on the candidate side, that's how you're making a difference. It's not to say that everybody has to do that and impact and touch everybody. Right. But there are so many uses, there are so many different ways Empty Cubicle can be successful and be that de facto standard. That's what the excitement is.
If given another choice, would you be an entrepreneur again?
Absolutely. And twice on Sunday. I am not good at sitting around.
If you share the same trade, you should really consider being an entrepreneur.
I should be standing right now because that's how.
And sing opera.
No, only on Sundays.
So you love what you do right now.
Of course.
And at the same time, you're making a good social impact. A good, potentially you can
Trying
actually
to.
make it, change the world in some way.
Trying to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we talked about how you got started. We talked about how you found, I guess you found the product market fit.
Mm-hmm.
I tried my best to talk about finances.
You talked about the finances.
Yeah, I talked about finances. No answers, but that's fine. Strategy-wise, we talked about a little bit too. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Okay, so imagine if you're preaching to your kids in the future, if there's one thing you want them to remember, what would that be?
About what? About me? About the company? About...
You, company, entrepreneurship, life, in general. Imagine you're talking to your kids. What's one thing you want to stick with them?
Wow. That's harder than the evaluation question. I think that following your passion and following your vision is what's critical in life. And if you're not doing something that you love, go find something else to do. Because that's the only way that you can really drive it from your heart and deliver against your promises.
100% echo that. That's actually why we exist. In our free time to volunteer to do all this. 100% echo that. Last question. We usually ask this for our speakers. We talk a lot about your experience in your company, how you got to here today, etc., etc. Is there any shout out you want to do to the community? If you need anything, put it out there.
Wow. Community shout outs. I love everybody. It's very hard to answer. I mean, I spent 15 plus years in the Microsoft community. I wouldn't be where I am without the mentors, the people, the individuals who helped me along the way, who I worked with. Every experience that I've had in business has been a learning experience. So it's hard to pick out one or two. It's very easy to use everybody and realize, going back to the tell my kids thing, recognize and realize that every experience that you have changes you in a way, and hopefully you'll be able to extrapolate the good and follow that passion.
And I guess another thing I can think of is that anybody who's looking for a job or just want to check the website out, definitely sign up, emptycubicle.com.
Yes.
Sign up. If you're a corporate, you're hiring, think of this product too. Good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.